All right, aloha everyone. Welcome to another World of Nutrition podcast. We're just so thankful to have two amazing guests here, and we are going to just be open-minded and learn so much today. I'm really excited. Really quick, I want to thank Marcus Hart of Transform You Media, Jay Stoyan of TDC, Lawrence Wingate of Wingate Studios, and Zach Clayton of Pact Channel for replaying their shows on their platform. So thank you. And our first guest is Rena Galzinis. I just love her. She has a huge heart, a giver's gain heart, and we've known each other for 3.5 years now. She has a huge passion for Young Living essential oils, and I am always learning something from her every single time I hear from her. So Rena, please share and take it away. Thank you.
Mahalo, Marilyn. I'm so happy to be here today with you all. It's been quite the journey with Young Living. It's been an amazing company to partner with. So today I thought I'd take us on a trip. As you know, Young Living owns or partners with almost 30 farms worldwide. And so I thought it'd be a lot of fun to go on this magical, mystical journey with all of you. So let's climb aboard, get on the plane, and let's head and see different parts of the world. Our first stop will be in France, where we have our lavender farm, which is just, if you've ever had an opportunity to be in France, that alone is just mind-blowing. But our lavender farm, which is very well kept by the sheep, they weed our lavender fields for us, and they, for some reason, don't touch the lavender, which works out for everybody. But if you've every time you have a lavender plant, it always depends on where in the world it's grown and what it will smell like and what constituents will be in it. Now, picture yourself, like close your eyes and picture yourself laying in the middle of this beautiful lavender field. And just inhale and ponder all the beautiful aromas that are coming into your senses, into your nose. And just feel the calm and the peacefulness that just envelops you. And now let's think about that seed. One of the things Gary Young, the founder of Young Living Essential Oils, always said that if you don't know your soil, you don't know your oil. Soil needs to have life, all sorts of life in it that the plant can feed upon. And then when it comes to like our food products, obviously that also is the case, that it needs a lot of life in it to sustain our life. And so picture this small lavender seed going into this rich, life-filled soil. And then picture it bursting through the surface of the soil as it climbs towards the sun and gathers up all of its constituents. And now comes the harvest, where we use sustainable farming methods, where we don't harm the earth, and we gather up our lavender and we send it to the distillation. And it's brought forth into its oil and hydrosol, which is a byproduct of when we distill oils. The only hydrosol we really have is like the Royal Hawaiian Sandalwood, which is amazing hydrosol. But let's stay in France. And now you have this French lavender oil. And if you remember what you pictured as you're laying in this lavender field and the smell that it just emanated out of the plants. Now you open this 5 or 15 ml bottle of lavender from France. Open it up, put it under your nose. You can even maybe put a little on your skin, kind of rub it, you know, at the palm of your hand, activate the oil by rubbing it, and then just engaging and smelling this amazing oil and the calmness that just enters into you. Because it only takes, believe it or not, 20 minutes for an oil to get into your cells. Molecules are small, so they easily get through the cell wall. And that's just lavender. Now we have over 200 oils. Some are blends, some are just pure oil, like your lavender, your peppermint, your orange, your lime, your lemons, frankincense. Because like I said, we do have farms worldwide. So you can go to St. Mary's Farm in Idaho, where we get our Melissa. You can go to Egypt. You can go to Israel. You can go to Australia, France, obviously, Canada, where we have some beautiful hardwood oils like cedar and cypress. And now we have access to rosewood from South America. And when it comes to nutrition, there are what we call our vitality oils that you can cook with. I myself use orange oil when I make my salmon. I use it as a covering. It brings out a beautiful taste of the salmon. I know people love our lime when they make guacamole, believe it or not. They say it's just amazing. And you can even put them in drinks. People will have like lemon water. And what's amazing, me personally, when it comes to lemon, I can do a little lemon, like in lemon peel, and put a little bit of lemon like that into my drink. And I know they have like bottles of lemon juice, but I find those are really harsh for me and they're too powerful. So what I actually do is I take my lemon oil, and 1 drop is all it takes. And it has a very, I don't want to say a dull flavor, but a much less potent flavor and like the bitterness. It's much easier for me to take in. Now at this last convention, I was able to, at every convention, they always have this beautiful array of our oils between our blends and our single oils. And it was so nice to see my husband actually enjoying and trying to find his favorite oils. So he was going up and down the lines, smelling them, going, you know, taking the pictures like, I like this one, I don't like this one. And it was a lot of fun. And he was smelling the trees that they had out at the convention. And one of the things that they came out with is our immunogummies, which is an amazing product, all natural, no colors. We have a seed to seal guarantee that we have with all of our products, that they'll do no harm. They're very organic and usually vegetarian, gluten-free, things of this nature. And I know Marilyn got to try our gummies and she enjoyed them. And I think she shared them with her 2 boys. But that's the thing with Young Living, is the thing that pulled me actually to the company was its foundation. It's philanthropic work, where it has, you know, supports the school in Ecuador, helps rescue those that are trafficked, either for labor, sex, you know, however they traffic. So we help there. After Tibet had its earthquakes, we were there. I know we're doing things now in Maui after the devastation that happened there. And whether it's just sending out hand sanitizers, foaming hand soaps, our drinks, water, of course. Young Living is huge in, you know, helping its community. We also helped during COVID, because it had devastating effects on communities as well. And I always find that, we're on earth to help each other. We're here to support each other, build each other up. And I know a lot of times when I have to do these sorts of presentations, it's very, I'm a very shy type person, believe it or not, and introverted. So I tend to grab my Valor oil, which is a blend. Now we have the original formula with the rosewood. And I know Marilyn noticed the difference between the two versions of the Valor. But they're very beautiful oils. All of our oils are so nice, and all of our products have oils infused in them, whether it's our personal care products, our like laundry soaps, or our thieves cleaner. There's just an array of products that we can help people just get as much of the very toxic chemicals, which tend to be extremely harmful actually to women because they're estrogen mimicking these chemicals. And since World War II, there are chemicals now on the earth that the earth has never seen, nor have us. We haven't seen these chemicals in our systems, and our bodies just are clueless what to do about it. And usually it makes our immune system engage, which usually has devastating effects, whether it's fibromyalgia, fatigue syndrome, any of the immune type of issues that a lot of people suffer from, and even cancers. And if you see, we don't have we can't say this chemical caused this problem as much as we would like to. But if you ever saw a graph and you see the increase of chemicals that we have in our environment, whether it's in our water, our soil, our air, and then you look at diseases and they parallel each other, they both climb. And so you can always see that there's a correlation, but it's, proving the causal effects. And so that's why for Young Living, it's important that, we help people find the best health that they can in any way that they can that's very helpful for their own systems, because we are very unique as individuals, and sometimes pharmaceuticals don't serve us as well as, say, a natural type product. I know for me, I was prescribed vitamin D at one point a few years back, and it actually became toxic in my system because it was a chemical based synthetic vitamin D, which my body was like, I have no idea what this is, so I'm going to fight it. And that's exactly what it did. Now I'm on my own health journey myself. I was diagnosed with breast cancer recently and had to go through some radiation treatments. And you can say and try and clean up your environment in your house as much as you can, but health issues are going to arise. Now, I do use my oils, I do use my supplements to aid my body and support my body when it has to go through things like antibiotics or radiation treatments or surgeries. And our products do that beautifully. And what's nice getting back to the farms is anyone can visit our farms. You can fly to Big Island right now and see the restoration project where we're planting sandalwood trees. And a lot of people don't know, but sandalwood oil actually is taken from the dead sandalwood tree. It's not taken from a live tree. But because they had like livestock, whether it's horses, sheep, cows, they did a lot of damage to the native plants and trees over there. And so they're restoring. And they're finding that by planting these native woods, like sandalwood, like koa wood, the animals and plants are returning as well. And they're bringing the native plants back, which has had a profound effect on the restoration project. And we also have the restoration project down in the Ecuador area for Palo Santos trees. And you can volunteer and go down and plant trees down in Ecuador. I mean, there's so many opportunities to serve. And I think that's what I love the most is when I hear stories of people that have had, a profound um, relationship with our products. Even if it's just them saying, hey, I tried this and oh my gosh, look what happened. Obviously, I'm not a medical doctor. I cannot give out medical advice. I cannot make medical claims. I cannot say that, I used this oil and it did this for me. We can say that these things support us. I know frankincense has been a huge help for me in my health journey, as well as the vitality oils that I cook with. But for me, it just all comes down to service. It's like, what can I do to help you live your most healthy, vibrant life? Is it just listening to you tell your story? Everyone has a story about their lives that they've come up with or they've created. And they're beautiful stories. Some of them are tragic. Some of them are uplifting. And I love to hear people's stories. I love to see how their kids respond to the products. I know I have a friend, her child came up to her one day and said, oh, I have to give a speech in class. I'm really nervous. I think today I need some stress away, or I need some lavender, or I need valor. A lot of little kids come out because we do have products for children and infants as well. And all of our products, all of our oils are automatically diluted for children. You should never give them a full potency oil. Their little systems can't take that much. So I always tell them dilute, dilute, dilute. But our kids' oils are diluted. And they help with everything from sleep to confidence, to stress, to focus. We have a lovely genius oil for kids that the kids will grab if they have a test and they'll run out the door with it and say, I'm gonna put this on the way to school because I have a test today. Those are always fun stories. Because kids intuitively know what their bodies need. Even infants. We have a video of this little baby crying, and they opened up a lavender bottle and placed it under their nose. And within a few seconds, the child stopped crying. And these are just one of many stories that you hear. Some are funny. Like there was a young man that took some peppermint. I also say dilute that because it's one of our hot oils. And he had put it like on his arms and legs. And it's like, ooh, that's a lot. And then he's like, yeah, it was a lot. His body reacted. And so I always say, if you're unsure of an oil, dilute it and then just put a little bit on and see how it goes. And ingest the vitality oils. Those are safe to ingest. But always have fun with it. We sell Icorn products, which is what they consider the original ancient grain. It was the first one ever to be created. And but there's a learning curve. I mean, if you grew up with all-purpose flour and you go to try and use Icorn flour, you're going to need to take some time to figure it out because from what I've heard, I haven't been brave enough yet to try it, but what I've heard is that, a little bit goes a long way. So I would just like to say that find your path, find what you need on your path. And if I can help you along your journey, just give me a call because I'd love to help you. Journeys are meant to be long. They're meant to be lifelong. And there'll be challenges. and there'll be fun times, and there'll be joyous times and happy times, and then sad times. But it's a lot better going on a journey with someone than doing it on your own. And we're here to journey together because life is hard and we need each other. And without each other, you know, it's a lonely path to go down by yourself. Look at all the support that's shown to Maui right now. These people have lost everything. And what do they need? They need community. They need to know that people care. And so I know I'm going to the Salvation Army and donating and getting help over there. My husband might be actually traveling over there because he does work with Silver Patrol. So, you know, we help where we can. So please, if you ever just want to talk or tell me your story, just give me a call. And thank you so much for letting me be here today with all of you. It's been a true joy. And thank you very much, Marilyn, for inviting me. I appreciate it so much.
Thank you so much, Rena. And please tell the audience where they can find you. How can they get in touch with you?
You can get in touch with me via telephone, text. I'll put my number and email in the chat, and you can contact me this way.
You say it because people don't have
Sure,
access to chat. Sorry.
Exactly. I'm sorry about that. Yeah. My number, it's still a Vegas number, so it's 702-449-0298. And my email is my first name, RINA dot, my last name, G like golf, EL, Z like zebra, INIS like Sam, at gmail.com. So it's rena.galzinas@gmail.com. I'll be more than happy to chat with you. Thank you.
That was beautiful. Thank you so much, Rena. We appreciate you being on as our guest, and reach out to Rena. She is so knowledgeable and she's always helping me every single time. So I appreciate her. All right, our next guest, we have Maury Zelkovich. And let me share a little bit about Maury. As a child, Maury had many problems, ranging from hearing thousands of voices in his head to severe depression. He also had a very big mouth, which was always getting him in trouble and was unbelievably accident prone. Something inside him made him start looking into the brainwave entertainment field, where he began to observe that sometimes time would seem to move faster and more pleasantly than other times. He eventually made the connection that when time seemed to move quicker than sound, is that correct? He was hearing more rhythmic in nature. And when time seemed to be painfully standing still, the surrounding sounds were far more disjointed. After many years of using other people's products with some limited success, he was determined to figure out why these recordings seemed to work only in a minor way, when all of the research he read suggested the effects should be more dominant than he was experiencing. He decided the best route was understanding was learning at the feet of an expert in the field. So he contacted the world's foremost expert in the field of brainwave entertainment and discovered some invaluable secrets that he could not get anywhere else. Now he has conquered those extra voices in his head and severe depression, and his mission in life is to help others improve the quality of their lives without the use of dangerous and habit-forming drugs. This is amazing. And Maury just shared with me right before this that his last article was food for thought, which we can also link in the bio or in the description of this podcast as well, if you would like to read it. And Maury, I can't wait to hear what you're going to share with us.
Well, thank you. Thank you for that very nice introduction. I just want to clarify, it's not brainwave entertainment, it's brainwave entrainment.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's quite all right.
I just didn't
want people to get the wrong idea here. There's nothing entertaining about it.
Yes.
Entrainment. Yeah, it's a very close word. You're not the first person to do that, believe me.
Okay.
So don't feel too bad. So my talk's going to be a little different. I'm a neuroscientist, better known as the world's first and only brainwave entrainment engineer. I'm going to explain to you a little bit about how the brain works, the brain-body connection works, and I'm going to go over different types of foods, different types of neurotransmitters, etc. Kind of give you a little bit of a biology lesson, a biopsychological lesson, if you will, in English, as opposed to in science-y terms. So the first thing I want to point out is I find with my clients, it's always better if they understand what I'm doing and what I talk about, as opposed to me being some brilliant guy, which, by the way, I'm not. But I don't want to position myself as someone who knows more than someone else. I believe fear goes away when we have knowledge. So I want you to understand how your brain works. When you are happy, when you are sad, when you're upset, when you're excited, when you're bored, when you're lethargic, anything at all of these experiences that you feel are in reality responses to neurochemical production by your brain. One of the ways that your brain creates this state, creates this chemistry, is literally by creating chemistry. So depending on the state you're in, for instance, you've probably all been made aware of different brain states like gamma and theta and beta and alpha and the various brain states. Depending on the region of the brain and the rate that they pulse electric impulses at, that denotes the kind of chemistry that they release. And chemistry is kind of like a chef with ingredients. So if you're a good chef, you'll make really good tasting food. If you're a bad chef like me, you'll make really lousy tasting food. Probably explains why I was totally depressed for 40 years until I finally figured out what's going on. Now, it's not enough for you to practice yoga or to practice meditation techniques or even to use my brainwave entrainment tracks to alter the way your brain is functioning and thus altering your neural chemistry, because my recordings can work very well to change your brainwave state so that your brain is in a better position to create the positive neural chemistry, if you will, that will make your life taste good. The problem is if you don't have the precursors or building blocks or ingredients, then your brain won't be able to produce the neurotransmitters, endorphins, and hormones that it needs to produce in order to make you experience life in a better way. So your thoughts create brainwave activity. That brainwave activity creates neural chemistry, and that chemistry is like the code that creates your life. As an example, if you're watching this podcast, then you'll be looking at a computer screen. And what you see on that computer screen is partially due to zeros and ones. When you break it down to the quantum level, it's all a series of zeros and ones. What you observe is the result of your brain being stimulated by these zeros and ones, the colors, the images, etc., the sounds. And then your brain creates an interpretation of all of this. And that is your life experience. That's how we can have 50 people in a room. They all experience the same speaker, and each one of them will mention different things about what happened. In other words, you can have 50 people in the same room and 50 different stories as to what happened. That happens because of brain chemistry and our perception and how that influences our brain chemistry. So one of the things that we need to remember is that nutrition is beyond important. If you're eating fast food all the time, if you're eating McDonald's, which I like to say has more plastic in the food than they have in their cutlery, you're not getting the building blocks. You're not getting what your brain needs to be healthy or what you need to be happy. Because remember, happiness involves chemistry that your brain has to produce and your gut has to produce. Without that, you don't feel happy. Something people don't understand is that your brain is about 2% of your body mass. So about 2% of your body's weight is taken up by your brain, but your brain actually uses 20% of the body's energy. So in a way, if you want to lose weight, what you can do is think more. The more you use your brain, the more energy you're going to burn. The more energy you're burning, the more you're burning fat, the more you're burning other constituents. So that's just a theory I have, by the way. I have absolutely no evidence to that, except for the fact that I've been losing weight steadily, and I've been thinking a whole lot lately, and I haven't been exercising more. So maybe there is something to this. At any rate, very important to realize that fat is very important. Certain kinds of fats are very important for the brain, especially a young brain, a baby's brain, and especially a senior's brain, because they use more fat than the average person does who's maybe in the middle ages or younger. So very important to watch what you're eating. There's all kinds of brain-related issues like Alzheimer's and cognitive decline that are very big in the news these days. And why is it big? Because it seems to be getting more and more prevalent. More and more people are suffering from these disorders. There are theories out there, among others, that state our diet and what we expose ourselves to may have a lot to do with our cognitive abilities, your ability to think clearly, your ability to remember things, your ability to know where you are. All can be influenced by your brain's actual state, its hydration level. Nutrition isn't just food, it's what you drink. A lot of people get very cloudy, very confused when their brain is dehydrated. Very important to hydrate. One thing I want to say before I go any further is, because I'm going to be talking about different neurochemicals and the foods that might be beneficial for these, I want to point out that if you're going to change your diet, always pass this through some kind of a medical authority, whether it's a dietitian you have, whether it's your doctor. Don't just randomly change your diet all of a sudden. Even if it ends up being something better for you, the sudden shock to your system could be bad. So keep that in mind, please. Okay, I just want everyone to realize that it's very important not to rush things. Most of you have maybe heard that the gut is another brain and the heart is another brain. In reality, it's known that we have neurons. So our brains up here are made up of billions of neurons. Neurons are basically brain cells. They're nerve cells, and they communicate with each other through electricity and through chemistry. But they're not just there. We also have neurons in our heart, and we also have neurons in our gut. And the interesting thing about the gut is our gut produces quite a lot of our neurotransmitters. So the stuff that affects your brain actually isn't always produced in your brain. It's produced in your gut. That should give you an indication as to how important your nutrition is and what you put into your stomach, what you put into your mouth, how important that is to your overall health. It can influence your sleep. It influences your patience. It influences your ability to learn, your ability to remember. It influences so many different aspects. And one of the things that I want to make clear is just because you may not be experiencing, you may be saying, yeah, Maura, I'm doing half of what you're saying, which is bad, and I'm fine. Well, I will explain it to you this way. When you see rust on a car, do you think that the rust just showed up the day you see it? Probably not. You probably are well aware that the rust has been forming maybe for years underneath, and it slowly works its way to the surface. You can look at cognitive decline. You can look at Alzheimer's. You can look at so many different diseases and disorders the same way. Just because they haven't shown themselves yet doesn't mean they're not there. And if you stop doing so many things that are bad for you, you may stop them from getting worse. For instance, I hate when I see this commercial for Febreze or whatever the heck it is, where it shows these people, they're so happy because they're smelling their clothes that they've been wearing for 6 months, and it still smells like lilacs. Well, you know what? These are chemical odors, and you have to understand something. A scent isn't just some random thing you experience. It actually is particles that go into your nose. And the sensors, if you will, in your nose translate that as to a scent. And even if it's a pleasant scent, it's a chemical poison that you're putting into yourself. You shouldn't be using air fresheners. If you want to freshen your air, essential oils are really the only option that probably won't kill you over time. So I encourage all of you to realize just because you're doing fine now doesn't mean you're not setting yourself up down the road. It is so important to remember what you eat, what you put on, perfumes, all these things, shampoos, toothpaste, all these things have a major effect on how you live. There's some essential nutrients that the brain requires. Things like omega, this is a new chemical I just invented, omega-3 fatty acids, things that you can get from fish like salmon, nuts like walnuts and flax seeds. Very, very, very important for the brain. I mentioned to you earlier how important it is to the brain that you get fats. You know, so many people are on a thin kick and they don't feed their kids fats because they think they're doing them a favor. You can have serious problems developmentally if you do not give your child or children fats when they're young. Breast milk is the best thing you can give them because the human breast milk is almost keyed to that child. And not just that, but they have an incredible amount of fat and brain supporting fat. It supports development like crazy. It literally has been shown medically to reduce the risk of age-related cognitive decline. It also has been shown to improve mood and fight depression. Antioxidants like vitamin C, E, and beta carotene in things like berries and nuts and dark chocolates and spinach and bell peppers, all of these things are antioxidants which fight all kinds of other things that battle your brain for efficacy. It literally takes away your brain's ability to think, your brain's ability to be healthy. But these types of berries, nuts, dark chocolate, spinach, bell peppers, all this stuff helps protect the brain from oxidative stress. And again, it may reduce the risk of neurodegenerative diseases. Vitamins like B, B6, B12, folate, these are things found in leafy greens. The darker the green, the better for you. When you have iceberg lettuce, it's empty calories. You might as well have a glass of air. They're useless. Poultry, eggs, legumes, these also are incredibly healthy for the brain. They support your development, especially when you're younger and as you age. It reduces the risk of depression. It improves memory and cognitive function. Again, I want to point out, very important to remember, do not do any of this, no matter how great I'm making it sound, unless you check with a proper medical professional or a dietitian first. Iron is incredibly important. Women find that they have iron deficiencies more often than men do. Very important. Again, don't take iron just because I'm saying it's good for you. Check and see if you're deficient in iron. If you are, things like red meat, beans, tofu, fortified cereals have iron in them. Again, they support cognitive development in kids, adults. It improves attention and learning abilities. So sometimes kids who have ADD or ADHD are actually misdiagnosed lacking in iron. Now, I'm not just going to tell you about what's good for you. I'm going to try to let you know a little bit about what's bad for you. First of all, if you can't pronounce it, don't eat it. So look at the ingredients list. And if it has stuff in it that you can't understand or doesn't make sense to you, don't eat it. If it's synthesized, don't eat it. Ideally, you should be buying your food daily or every other day. It shouldn't have to sit too long. It shouldn't be waiting. It should be as fresh as possible. If you have the opportunity to buy from farmers direct, you're not just helping the farmer, you're helping yourself. Here's some foods to avoid. I'm sure you're going to love me after hearing this. Any kind of soda that has any kind of sugar in it, stay away from it. Any kind of sugar in snacks. So when I said dark chocolate is good for you, I don't mean dark chocolate that's packed with sugar. These things have been shown in many studies to lead to cognitive decline and reduced brain volume. They actually shrink your brain. Imagine taking your brain out and sticking it in the dryer and then putting it back in. That's literally what you're doing when you're eating these things. Highly processed foods you should be staying away from like crazy. Increased risk of neurodegenerative disease is like absolutely over the moon how that works. Excessive alcohol. I'll tell you something. that can cause memory problems and cognitive decline. But I've seen studies recently that actually talk about any alcohol can set you up for cognitive issues later in life. Any alcohol, more than 2 drinks a week. Now, there's all these studies that claim that if you have a glass of wine every night, it's supposed to be good for your heart, blah, blah, blah. Now, the latest knowledge says 2 drinks a week maximum. So if you want to have wine every day, pour out 2 glasses of wine and then take those 2 glasses and pour it out into more glasses so you don't drink more than 2 glasses of wine. I mentioned to you about hydration. The brain is actually 75% water. A lot of people have been misdiagnosed with cognitive issues, and all they really needed to do was drink more. It is so important. If you are thirsty, then you're dehydrated. You should never feel thirsty, ever. When you do, you're dehydrated. Now, there's a lot of examples. They say drink 8 glasses of water a day, blah, 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 blah. Everybody's different. Everybody's cells retain moisture differently. So again, once you're getting thirsty, you're not drinking enough. Increase your volume by a little bit and then see how you are. If you're still getting thirsty, then you probably need more. Some of the benefits of a brain healthy diet include things like cognitive function. In other words, your ability to solve problems, your ability to react and act better, quicker, stronger, and more effectively and efficiently when things go wrong. You're in an accident, you break an arm, you cut yourself. You're better able to cope. You're better able to deal with situations, and your problem-solving skills are through the roof. You have a reduced risk of depression and anxiety. You'll notice I said that 3 or 4 times already. There's a reason for that. I want to knock that point home. Believe it or not, it's not just the reduced risk of neurodegenerative diseases and age-related cognitive decline that go down. There's also a fair chance you might even live longer and enjoy that longer life. I'd like to finish with just saying that I cannot express how important it is to give the proper nutrition to your brain. It will thank you and thank you and thank you. And again, I need to point out, just because you don't feel anything now, and you're munching on your potato chips and you're down in your Diet Coke or your regular Coke or whatever, I want you to realize that there's a good chance, especially if you've been doing this for years, that you've already started to rust. And I want you to stop that rust. If you catch that rust soon enough, you can stop it from hitting the surface. And hitting the surface is when it's going to really do its damage to you, or at least its perceived damage. Your body is an amazing thing. Your brain is an amazing thing. They can take so much punishment and get better, but you have to stop punishing it first. I encourage you to make conscious food choices for your healthier brain. And I encourage you to help others and feel bad and feel guilty when you have something that's crappy for you and you know it's crappy for you. And imagine yourself 40 years in the future lying in a bed hooked up to monitors because you didn't listen to me today. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Maury. Wow. And please tell everyone how they can find you.
If anyone wants to reach me, you can email me at the Maury Method. So that's THEMORRY method, METHOD, like Dennis, at gmail.com, or you can go to the MauryMethod.com website.
I love that. And yes, Maury, your methods, I have been listening to your different brainwave
Entrainment, yes.
entrainments. Yeah, so I'm just really, really thankful for you and that I've met you. And I hope that everybody goes to your Maury Method and, listens, take a listen. And don't forget, I mean, our brains are so important. And just hearing you talk about, what rust doesn't appear.
Yeah.
What we've been doing for decades, what we've been eating for decades, possibly drinking for decades, that is all compounding. So let's be more mindful, because I get it. I thought I was invincible until I ended up in the ER myself. Right? So thank you so much, Maury, for all your just valuable knowledge. And
Pleasure.
I'm super excited.
Well, thank you for having me. Thank you for having us. I
Yes.
really enjoyed Rena's conversation. I was a little concerned that I was going to be a little too sciencey after such a pleasant trip Rena took us on. So I'm hoping I didn't like shock people back to reality from that.
No, you're great. And people need to hear that. I mean, we've been eating processed and sugar and dyes and all these things all these years, not realizing the detriment that it has long term. So I appreciate you both. I do want to also thank Mutual Aid Network for helping to sponsor this podcast. So Mutual Aid Network is a nonprofit that helps bring communities, helps bring people from all over the world, and helps to distribute their strengths. And like say somebody has website design, a strength for website design, they will use their time to help somebody else do website design. And so for me, I love hosting Zoom karaoke. So I help Mutual Aid Network host Zoom karaoke and bring people from all over the world who wants to sing, who find it therapeutic, and then we just get to enjoy each other. So we help each other through time, through our gifts of time. And I really appreciate Mutual Aid Network who help partner with Innovative Nutrition. So one of the things I wanted to talk about today was we're going back to school. Well, the kids are going back to school. And who do you know is a teacher? You know, I worked in the education field for almost 10 years. So I get it. When I was working with the kindergartners, I got sick every single school year. They catch everything. And so I would love to share about our 2 patches that help to boost your immunity, the complete vitamin with omega-3 patch and our immune patch. Work this together is helping our teachers and the kiddos actually just have their optimal health. And I'm just really thankful for this 1-inch patch that is slow releasing from your skin into your bloodstream, totally bypassing your gut and helping to keep people optimal in health. So if you are interested in supporting Mutual Aid Network, please go to man.innovtive.com, and you can help support Mutual Aid Network while getting patched up and feeling your best. I always say, if you don't feel your best, you cannot serve your best. And I thank you again, Rena and Maury. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing your passion, your gifts with the world. And we will see you in the next World of Nutrition podcast.